Delhi's electric bus revolution from 3,500 today to potentially fully green tomorrow is more than numbers. It's a commitment to public health, climate action and equitable mobility. We've overcome hurdles, built infrastructure and inspired global peers. The road ahead involves more charging hubs, battery, recycling and seamless multimodal travel. If you're in Delhi, take an e-bus ride, feel the difference. Let's continue pushing for that 100% electric future. Joining us now to discuss this further is Dr. Uday Narang, founder and chairman, Omega Psyche Mobility, Rohan Diwan, founder of Leafy Bus, and Tutu Dhawan, auto analyst. Let me make a start with you first, Dr. Narang. How pioneering has this e-bus revolution really been in Delhi?
It's actually been really a great step. I mean, obviously, the current, AQI index and the environmental concerns in Delhi requires that EVs they are the need of the hour. The government has kept a very strong push towards green energy and sustainability, whether it's buses, three-wheelers, two-wheelers. You can see 80% of the buses in Delhi are already EV. CNG is going to be phased out very shortly. So the only solution, and I think the only solution, is to go EV. The customers have adapted it. There is a huge push by the government. The EV OEMs have been part of the change. The supply chain is getting better. And all in all, the total cost ownership model, which is the most important part of India to make it cleaner and greener, is working. So I would say the step is in the right direction. More needs to be done. There is only one way to make Delhi clean and green. And I think it is everybody's responsibility, not just the government, but all of us, to make Delhi green and clean.
Rohan Diwan is also with us now. Let me quickly rope you and Rohan on, of course, this e-bus revolution that we're seeing in Delhi. How much progress has been made, and what is the road ahead looking like to fulfill the promise and obviously the goal, that is to have all buses on Delhi streets become electric?
So yeah, DTC has done a great job with the transition. They've achieved great numbers, and they are anticipating to convert the entire fleet in 2026 to EV. With the private intercity space that has a huge that plays a huge role in the carbon emissions, with ICE engines flying out of Delhi to major cities. I think startups like ours and other companies have taken initiatives, and the response from the consumer end is great. We have great OEMs now that are manufacturing these buses. These are all now Make in India buses. And I think soon a lot of other private operators are going to, transit into EV buses.
Yes. And the benefits of this, of course, Tutu Dhawan, are enormous, aren't they, for the environment and also for efficiency. Why is an e-bus so desirable, unlike the old buses? What makes them stand out? What makes them so revolutionary, in your opinion?
If it's all said and done, yes, I do agree with the fact that e-buses are not polluting at all. But nevertheless, I have my own opinion about how our government neglects the other parts which need to be addressed. And one of them, of course, is keeping the signals synchronized, if not abolish them totally. If in Kota, in Rajasthan, they can have a signal-free town, why can't Delhi become something like that? Secondly, our roads are not swept, and all the dust that gets kicked up is not necessarily from the EV only or from cars, but it is from anything which is moving on the road. And the roads are all dust, full of dust. And whatever little sprays that they are trying to do is just an hogwash, to make an opinion to the public that we are doing a lot as far as pollution is concerned. This makes no dent at all. Whatever the earlier government had started and now this government is trying to follow doesn't make any scientific sense. So unless we address this as a whole, only EVs are not going to solve the problem. The problem is construction activity, industries, the dirt on the roads which get kicked up by cars and by automobiles. It's not necessary that just by having EV buses and taxis that you are going to get rid of the pollution that is happening in and around Delhi.
Yes. Also, another thing that we see is very often is buses break down in Delhi, Mr. Dhawan. How do we, avoid this? How do we ensure, better efficiency for buses, that they don't break down so frequently as we see? Will e-buses be better in that regard than the old ones?
Well, you see, the maintenance part is obviously being outsourced to an agency. I don't know whoever they are. It's only up to them to be more efficient and try to keep their buses well tuned and well cleaned and so on. Even if you see them, sometimes you will notice they are not even washed. Forget about maintenance. They just go back into the garage and the next day they are back again with all the dirt and muck all around. Now that is what keeps flying around in the atmosphere when the buses are going at a speed. So it is basically you have to address to this basic issue of dust being controlled. It is the dust which is in the atmosphere. It is not necessarily the pollution from the exhaust pipe that is bothering us so much. So we have to take a constructive step towards controlling pollution and not only just having electric vehicles, with electric vehicles and then say this is going to be a solution to it. What about China? I mean, China has been trying to do this for the last 35, 40 years, and now that they have got almost, there to have a pollution-free city themselves.
Okay. Let me also ask you, Dr. Narang, about the fact that how this can actually be something that can be a model for the rest of the world. This is not something that just other Indian cities can adopt. This is something that global cities can adopt, isn't it? The kind of population that lives in Delhi, the kind of size of the city as well, if it does go completely electric, which obviously is the target, it can be a model for the world, isn't it, Dr. Narang? Also, how do we fast track that? That now is the big question.
You're absolutely right. What things are happening right now in Delhi. Listen, I mean, I think we can look at, I'm a guy who's been in this game for over the last decade. We can look at, glass half empty or half full. I like to look at a half full. I mean, there's a lot of change going on. What is happening in Delhi is a model. I mean, there is more and more EVs. The breakdowns are less because there are less parts. The infrastructure is getting built. Rome wasn't built in one day. It takes time. And this is what's happening. And in a city like Delhi, which is a complicated place, but you can see, please understand, 80% of buses are already EV. CNG is getting phased out, as you also said. And I think the model that what we are building in India, in Delhi, can be taken for the rest of the country. But also, I am working towards taking this model to parts of Africa, I'm in Europe right now. E-buses are moving in a big way. JBM is providing buses even in Europe right now. Indian manufacturers are providing EV buses in Europe. So there is a lot to learn. And what if you can make the total cost ownership work in India? You can make it work anywhere. This is one of the advantages. And one of the other advantages is that, once you can make something work in our country, which has so many different dynamics, it makes it easier to adapt. Obviously, as you move to premium markets like Europe and the United States, things are changing. I'll be honest with you, no matter what happens, EV buses are going to be a part of this, and it's always going to be doing this. This is something that is going to move no matter what, and you are going to see EV buses made in India globally. India and Delhi, what Delhi is doing is a step in the right direction, and I see a lot of that happening for the rest of India and the rest of the world.
Yes, Rohan, come in here on, also then the infrastructure push that is needed. Electric vehicles, electric buses, of course, are needed, but then the infrastructure for them also is needed. How much of this infrastructure upgrade is already complete? What else is needed? And also, how is this something that can be replicated in other Indian cities as well? How can Delhi lead the way?
So, yeah, since these EV buses and EV heavy vehicles have started coming in, and the acceptance has been great in the past 2 years, the public charging infrastructure that was already there, and the usage percentage is lesser than 7%, but that has changed. So with these electric buses offered by private operators, they're utilizing these public chargers, which were already there. The utilization was low, so it's a win-win for both the CPOs and operators like us. And I think this will get replicated across the nation.
Yes. Tutu, let me quickly rope you back in here as well. On obviously these upgrades that are needed to the charging infrastructure, the electric infrastructure in Delhi, which will be conducive for further buses to be deployed, but also will be further encouragement for residents of Delhi who haven't switched yet to electric to do so.
You see, all said and done, as far as charging concerned for public, I think we don't have enough charging stations. And on top of that, why electric EVs are not so popular amongst the private owners is because they are not so cost effective. You see, everybody wants a return on investment, and today EV does not do that. As far as commercial activity is concerned, yes, I agree. If you can juice out the last drop of blood from the commercial vehicle, for a commercial vehicle, that means you can run it 24 hours if you can have a charging system for it. That will return all your investment maybe within 2 to 4 years. But when you talk about return on investment for a privateer, it's a loss for them. It's a big loss. And secondly, they don't have the confidence of using an EV, especially with families and all going long distances, and they don't know how and when they can come back. Will they be able to come back at all? Because charging infrastructure is rather poor in Delhi and around Delhi.
Yes. Now, of course, that leads me to my next big question, Dr. Uday Narang, which is, how do we ensure that the public actively uses these e-buses? How do we ensure that more and more public switches to public transport? Dr. Narang, can you hear me? Okay, why don't you take that to Dhawan? How do we encourage, further people to use these e-buses?
Switching over to public transport is not an overnight job. You see, first of all, you have to find the convenience of using a public transport. We don't have a public transport which is just round the corner in a house that you can walk and get onto it. So even the last mile that you have to cover, you need something to get onto a metro station or to an EV station where you can take a bus and go. So that is one of the biggest issues, and especially amongst the, I would say, aged people who are above 40 and 50, who find it difficult walking and going to stations like that and taking such like transport. So it has to be something that you can have something from your own home, and then you can go to places and it become convenient for them. So all these things have to be thought of. It's not an overnight job that you have an EV and you suddenly, everybody will start using it. It's not possible. You first have to make an effort of training and asking people to come onto it and making life easier for them to get onto an EV and reach your destination. And then, of course, the final destination, wherever you have to be, that last mile has also to be as convenient.
Yes, indeed. Let me take that to you as well, Rohan. Obviously, last mile connectivity also needs to be improved further. But how do we ensure more people switch then to using these e-buses?
So, personally, at Leafy Bus, we've seen a lot of encouragement from consumers. They have loved traveling in our buses. And we are trying to create a model for other operators. The unit economics have worked for us as of now. We have these JBM buses that are high capacity buses. There is no range anxiety. So consumers usually traveling from on routes like Delhi, Jaipur, high intensity routes, Delhi, Dehradun, Delhi, Chandigarh. So we're applying our buses on these routes, and we've seen a lot of a lot of love from these consumers. We've got repeated customers. We're actually doing close to 92% occupancy on a few routes, on the Delhi-Dehradun route particularly. So consumers have acceptance, and it's just about, as Tutu sir said, that the infrastructure is currently, it's not as great as it should have been. But yes, these are steps towards a brighter future, and companies like ours and other startups are trying to make a space in, so that others could follow.
Okay. I'll leave the last word to you, Dr. Naran, on, how do we now encourage more and more residents of Delhi to switch to public transport? Dr. Naran, can you hear me? Yes, go ahead.
TCO model. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah,
can you hear
now
me?
we can hear you. Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
So the most important part of this conversation is, do we want to leave a cleaner and a greener India or a Delhi for our future generations? Forget about us, but the young kids. If we don't make a change, ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you, we are going to have a serious problem, a health problem in the AQI index of 500, 600, 700. I'm in a European country, AQI is 54, right? So what I'm saying is, charging infra, government, public, private, startups, everyone, old, young, everybody. And this is a job that only Modi ji or Rekha ma'am won't do it. We all have to join to make Delhi clean and green for our future generations. ये हमारा कर्तव्य है, ये हमारी सिटी के लिए एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कर्तव्य हमारे स्टेट के लिए, और हम सबको ये करने के लिए सबको एफर्ट डालना पड़ेगा. That's my last parting words for you.
All right. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion. It's time for a very short break.